Hey, it's time for VoiceOver Body Shop. It's this camera over here, right?
Yeah, that
one over there.
That
Okay.
one over there.
Yeah, we got lots of cameras set up here tonight because we have a great guest who's going to tell us all about auditioning, and that's Everett Oliver. Everett, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're not too bad.
He's a guest worthy of setting up extra cameras.
That's right.
Getting our green screen working.
All that stuff.
Because Everett's here.
That's right. So if you've got a question for Everett about auditioning, throw it in the chat room because I know Jeff Holman's hiding in there somewhere, writing down every question and making sure we get those questions so we can ask Everett a little bit later on. But we got lots of stuff to talk to him about in the next half
This
hour.
could quite possibly be one of the most important guests we've had on this year because he is literally telling you how to get through an audition and sound like you know what the heck you're doing.
Right. So
it's a big deal.
I know. VoiceOver Body Shop right now.
VoiceOver Body Shop is brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the folks who bring you Source Connect. JMC Demos, when quality matters. VOHeroes.com, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voice actor website shouldn't be a pain in the butt. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. And by World Voices, the industry association of freelance voice talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George.
Well, hello there. I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VOBS. And we are back in our wonderful studio, surrounded by microphones and cameras and all sorts of
Studio
stuff.
version 7?
I guess.
We've revamped a few times. Each time, because we haven't had a pattern of doing the show here.
That's true.
So each time we try things that are a little bit different.
Right. But tonight we're like, I want multiple cams.
Yeah.
So, give me the single
And
shot
a green
there, Sue.
screen.
Right.
And
Single
a
shot.
green screen.
Okay, see, now there's the two single
Whoa.
shots. Right.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah, look at that. Here we are. Single cam, and, we finally figured out how to do all this stuff. So
Just in time.
why are we doing it? Because we can.
Because it's fun.
That's right. But it's been an interesting couple of weeks. I, of course, had aside from my boo-boo from last week when we were in Toronto, then I had a major boo-boo because somebody rear-ended me, and then I hit them in the car in front, and they both left.
You were a pinball in a pinball game, and the game just drove away.
Right, and I became an accordion. And
that is not even, I don't even know what to say, other than we're glad you're okay.
I'm glad
you
I'm
have
okay,
some boo-boos, and you now have a new car, because you really had no choice.
No, and if you tried
couldn't
to
even buy the same car you owned. It was impossible.
If you try to buy a new car right now, you're going to be shocked at what dealerships are charging over the MSRP.
It's disgusting.
It is, and they're making up for all the money they lost during the pandemic.
And the gas companies are making up for all the money they lost during never.
I don't think.
Anyway.
No, I don't think they've been losing.
That's another story.
Anyway, we want to talk about helping you make some money, and the way you do that as a voice actor is by auditioning. So we decided, why don't we have somebody on who really understands auditioning? And so we figured out, why don't we talk to Everett? So anyway, Everett Oliver is a 25-year veteran of the entertainment industry. He specializes in professional directing for voiceover auditions. He has experience as an animation demo co-producer, a private coach for commercial and animation, as well as a career building consultant. That is a career building consultant.
No,
a career building consultant. Just in case you were wondering. What tips does he offer to help you book the work you desire? Let's welcome back to our show. It's been a while, though. And that's Everett Oliver. Everett, are you in there somewhere?
I am here.
Hey, buddy.
How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
You too.
Yeah. Eventually, we're going to get everybody back in the studio. Of course, I don't know where we're going to put them.
Including an audience?
Including an audience.
You do remember we had about
18 people in here one night.
I was there. I was there.
So we have a witness that will prove that actually happened.
It was pretty fun.
I know. All right, so you coach people with their auditions. I mean, but let's start. Now, you've been in the business for like 25 years.
Plus.
What brought you to this sort of niche area of coaching?
Basically, I worked at a talent agency, and they basically threw me in the booth, and they said, "Listen, you need to start, directing and helping actors." Since I came from the casting background, I came from the casting side of animation. So when all of my shows ended in animation, I talked to my mentor, who was Charlie Adler, and Charlie Adler told me, "Oh, you need to go ahead and work at a talent agency and be a booth director." And I had no idea what a booth director was. And then I used to work for AVO Talent. So Sandy Schnarr and Peter Verano, they threw me in the booth. And so that's how my life started. I just started directing and started understanding actors and picking up little things here and there to help them book. That's how it really started. So it just fell into, I just basically fell into it. Yeah.
So talent would come into the agency, which doesn't go on a whole lot anymore.
Not anymore.
And there was a booth there, and you would sit there, and they would audition for things, and you're like,
slow down.
I would slow down, speed up. That's not you. Get out of your head. I would, is that what you have? That's not gonna work. I would give them my honest opinion.
Yeah.
And the basic honest opinion would be my facial expressions, because everybody could read my facial expressions.
Yeah,
so if it was a smile and go like this, that's great. But if it was one of those, oh, that means I have to do it again. Oh yeah. You
don't have to name names. Were there people that were showing up in your booth a lot more than others? Were there a few that you saw far more regularly than others?
Oh, yes. I mean, they came in on pretty regular basis. I mean, we had a full schedule. So I would audition from like 9:30 in the morning until probably 4:30 in the afternoon. And it was in 15-minute increments. So you was receiving about maybe 5 or 6 pieces of copy. And you literally had to study the night before. So when you came into the booth, you had 2 takes, maybe 3, to get it right. And then I would turn around and be like, "Oh, get out. Next character, next character." Because the agents would be out there saying, "You're taking way too long with them. This is not something where they came in and studied. They had to be prepared."
They were coming in cold on these.
Totally. And so now, I try to have my actors, me doing it for myself, try to tell them, "Listen, you have to prepare and come at it the same exact way." Because what's going to happen when you book a job and you're put on the spot? And the casting people and the producers are going to be throwing things at you, and you have to be ready. So this is what I try to prepare the actors who I work with.
Now, I'd like to think that people understand the importance of taking auditions seriously and to not keep doing the same thing. How do you learn to differentiate yourself and do something different every time? How do you, what are your suggestions?
You have to come from an angle of a point of view. I think that a lot of people are basically just reading the copy. They're not actually breaking down the scripts or not understanding what's happening in the scripts, or they're following the same type of the directions. They're following the specs. They're not thinking themselves outside of the box. So, my suggestion you've got to be creative. There are now thousands of you who are auditioning for the same part across the whole world. So do one take that comes from the actual specs that which they want, and then throw in a second take that's going to wow them. Don't give them the same acting style, but give them something that's really going to make your personality, bring your personality into it, because everybody has different personalities, and that's what's going to help you book. And you got to keep at it. You can't, do voiceovers for 2-3 months and then stop and then pick back up. You know, you got to keep doing it. You got to keep researching. You have to keep playing. You've got to keep coaching. You got to keep doing workout groups. This is going to make you a better audition actor.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how everybody seems like they get locked in this mode of imitation.
Yeah.
But I guess I mean, if you're starting from literally zero, is that where you start? Is imitating? Or is that just a natural proclivity of a person who does voiceover because we love to imitate?
No, I mean, the first thing I tell people is you have to take acting. You have to do improv. Those are the first two. I mean, I met a lot of people who say, I was actually working with somebody today, and I could tell that they were imitating, you know, like a coworker. And I was like, no, let's go back to basics. You have to know the acting. It's all about your acting. It's nothing about your voice. I can't even tell you how many people are so concerned about that. And I have to drill it into them with tough love.
Yeah, we know.
well, that's another gateway. That's another gateway into voiceover, right? Which is the thing that everybody hears at least once. You've got a great voice, aren't you doing voiceover? I get that all the damn time.
Right.
And you hear that a lot.
And
aren't
you're
you
not
doing voiceover? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing voiceover.
No, and
I can talk.
Yeah, I get it all the time. They say, what do you do for a living? I'm a voice actor. Oh, I can tell. Like, it's just the way I sound, for crying out loud. But, you know, perhaps I talk a little bit more properly than other people.
You enunciate?
And I, you know, unlike a lot of kids today, I just keep talking like this. I have no idea what they're saying.
Complete sentences?
Yeah. Hey, give me the deets on that. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Tell them to slow down.
Yeah. So I'm sure you're working with a lot of kids these days. And when I say kids, I mean anybody under 40.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah. It's just a different culture. And how do you have to work with folks like that? Because, I mean, all right, you're probably closer to that than we are, but, you know.
Let's be clear about that.
All right.
I work, yes. In fact, the good news is today I've been working with, she's got to be about 9, maybe 10 years old. And she booked something today. And I've been working with her for about a good year on learning very conversational reads. She comes from the theater background. So she's been shouting at me for a couple of months.
You kind of have to detune her, right?
Right, the little old lady in the back row. Hey!
Pull back the throttle.
Right.
Yes. But I mean, she's learned, you know,
Yeah.
I'm one to give, you know, you have to do homework. You have to do research. You have to keep studying. And I've drilled it into her. So I was very proud to find out that we got she got a call back probably about 3 weeks ago. And she just found out today she booked. So that was my, you know, pride and joy.
Is that a commercial thing?
It was an animation. It was actually an animation.
Wow.
So
when you're talking about you need to do your homework, you need to do your research. Would you feel like that's more for animation stuff, or
that's for everything across the board?
Everything.
You need to be watching.
What's the kind of research you're doing? Yeah,
television shows, animation shows. You need to find out what the trends are happening commercial wise. You need to find out what kind of animation shows that are out there, movies for animation, TV. What new promos that are happening? What's going on in the narration world? I mean, you need to be soaking up everything like a sponge. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people are not doing that. And what they're doing is, hey, I get this audition. And then the first thing they think of me. And then they contact me. And then I'm asking them a whole series of questions. And I can tell instantly that they're not going to book this, because the fact is that they have not done what they're supposed to do. And they expect me to do it for them. And that's no. And a safe and a smile.
Yeah. Once again, if you're just joining us, you've already missed a ton. That's important. Everett Oliver is our guest. We're talking about auditioning, because that's what we do as voice actors. We got to audition so people can hear us and say, you know, that's the right voice for doing that. If you've got a question for Everett about auditioning or coaching or one of these things that he deals with, You can put it in the chat room, and Jeff Holman is right there, and he's going to write it down, and we're going to ask Everett in the next segment in just a little bit. So don't be shy. Ask your questions. You're going to think of it like 2 minutes before we're done, and all of a sudden, there's like 10 questions. But now we want you to put your questions in so we can answer them in the next bit. Anyway, okay, so what are some, you've mentioned this a little bit. You talked about people just doing it the way they think that they should do it, or just talk their voice. What are some of the common mistakes that you see people make when they're sending in auditions?
They take too long with the audition. Something that should take them probably 15 to 30 minutes. It's taking them 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, that's too long. Yeah.
They're overthinking it. Editing, they have no editing skills. That's part of it. So the editing is slightly off. Timing, pacing, like I said, they don't study. They're not marking their scripts up. That's really a major factor. They're not sure what's happening with that. They don't improv. How many is that?
That's enough. That's enough to make a difference, I think, with some people.
They don't have a point of view. I'm trying to think of all the people I was talking to today. They're listening to their voice and not concentrating on their acting. That's what I can think of right now.
Right, and that's a ton, because that's what I hear a lot of auditions too. People are sending us audio all the time, and they're like, well, they're just reading so we can hear what the audio sounds like and stuff. But they all try to put a performance in for the stuff they send you, George.
Put a performance in, like a long script, you mean?
Not a long script, but at least try to sound like an audition, as opposed to, hi, this is my audio. And
I insist on it.
Yeah.
When they send me okay, I'm talking into a microphone, I'm like, no.
How would you use this microphone?
I need to hear, your technique, how you place the mic, how far away, how much energy you project.
Right.
Comes across flat reads too.
Yeah, whatever it is, if you read flat, that's the way I want to hear it, because that's going to determine what we're going to be doing today.
Right, exactly. So people make a lot of mistakes. I mean, especially people who are new. People who have been doing it for a while, they still make those kinds of mistakes too. I mean, after a while, I imagine some people feel like they can just phone it in because they always book. You find that a common thing? Or do the people that always book, they are pros and they are always on and they always get it done?
They get it. I mean, the people are pros. Yes, you're exactly right. They know. They get it done. I think now the thing is it's about now stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's what's going to really help you book. And now I'm working with actors to go not on a surface level is what I call it, but you got to go on a much more deeper level. Because of the simple fact is that now that we're all doing stuff from home, you don't really know what your competition is.
That's true. Well, we never know what our competition is. We do these auditions.
I did.
We throw.
I did. When I worked at agency.
Right. You heard them all. We didn't.
Right.
We never heard what anybody else was doing. It was like we were just guessing. Why did this guy book it? Why didn't I? And they'll never tell you. You probably will.
I did.
Good. Once again, if you got a question for Everett, throw it in the chat room right now, whether you're in Facebook Live, whether you're on YouTube Live. Where else are you doing this? I don't know. Someplace else. It just goes out into the ether and everybody's watching. But no matter where you're watching, if there's a chat room there, throw the question in there right now. What do you do to help people improve? I mean, obviously, if they're at an agency, when you were working in an agency, you were working with pros, people who agents have said, okay, we want to work with these people. Now you're working with people who are trying to break into the business. How do you get them to improve? And I'm sure it's pretty much the same answer, that they had to do their homework.
I just, I drill stuff into them. I mean, it's constantly, attending classes. I'll have on some online classes. I'll bring talent agents. I'll bring casting people in front of them to see what they can do in front of a casting person or an agent. and then I'll give them personal notes. I'll do private, coachings with them and tell them specifically as to what they're doing wrong. So I'm constantly drilling into them. I could hear Patrick Kushner in my head now, like trying to come up with ways to get out of your head, or, having quotes and sayings in front of you. Just so the fact is that you're going to look up and you're going to see, oh, I need to be consistent in your character, or I need to add improv. So it's just like a thing. They've got to bring their A game for me to go ahead and pull out their performance. But the other thing that just hit me too is they also got to be willing to go ahead and play. I think that's one of the things that's missing also in actors' performances, is that the lack of them playing, because they're so busy worried about booking the job. So they need to be vulnerable for them to be comfortable as to who they are.
Right. And real actors really know that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, they're all actors. They all come from acting backgrounds, whether or not they're at non-union or union agencies. I have an agent. I don't have an agent. But I think that the main consistent thing, which is hitting me now, is they don't understand who they are. And I could pinpoint who they are within probably 30 seconds to a minute, because I'm tapping into them and fully understanding them. And that's really one of my unique gifts that I have, that I can go ahead and say, that's not you, that's somebody else. So if you're going to do whatever you're going to do as a first take, let's do that as a first take. Let's lay that audition down as a first take, because that's what you came up with. Now I'm looking for you. Right. And let's go even deeper, depending on what the kind of copy is. Right. And stop worrying about freaking out about, oh my God, I got to pay my health insurance, or I need to book this job because, they're going to tow away my car. And I think people get caught up in everyday life, and this is why they don't book. Right. So I've had people book when people are just not feeling well. I've had people that book because they're not thinking about it. They're vulnerable.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting.
So you book when things are happening in your personal life, that you're going through some sort of trauma. That way, because you're like, especially women who are about to give birth, or, guys who are you just go in there and they just do it because they don't care.
Maybe you had a loss. Maybe something, some tragedy.
Something
happened,
really tragic.
And you're kind of raw and you're a little on the edge.
Right.
What I do is I feel out the actor in the atmosphere. So I have a sense and I have aware of, once I kind of understand the dynamics of whatever situation is happening, because then I could tap in and then I could go ahead and say, listen, like I had, for example, I can do it from example. I had a little girl who was sick, and I could tell she wasn't feeling well. And her mom was like, we're just going to let her do it. Her mom, I was like, okay, I'm not going to worry about mom. I'm going to worry about her. She's just going to come in the booth. And I said to her, what's wrong with you? She said, oh, I'm not feeling well. I said, we're going to do 2 takes. God bless you. We're going to read 2 takes. Right, exactly.
Chill.
We're going to do 2 takes. And that's it. She did 2 takes and she wound up booking the job.
That's great.
She didn't even think about it.
Yeah. And then, of course, she was feeling much better when she actually did the job. And it's like, no, that's not what we want. You want you sick. No.
Not necessarily. She's a pro. She's a pro.
That's what we like. That's what we like to hear.
Well, what's got to be interesting is that she would have heard that performance later, like I would think.
And then
she would hear because how much time between the audition and the day you do the gig? How much time elapses sometimes?
It depends. It be a month? Animation, it could wind up being like probably 3 months, maybe 6 months.
Right.
It depends on the production schedule. If it's commercial, the turnaround is going to be a little quicker. Promo is going to be a little quicker. Every other genre, narration, medical, all that stuff takes, maybe a couple of weeks.
So you definitely gonna have to replay or play back what it is that you did that booked you that job.
Exactly.
And what you sounded like that day.
Yeah. So let me take this a little bit more in the macro. How do you help someone find their voice? And I know you know what I mean, because everybody has their voice, but everybody seems to want to sound like somebody else. We certainly see that in the tech world where it's like, hey, you got to make me sound great and stuff like that. How do you help people find their authentic voice?
I listen to them as a person, and I get this kind of a sixth sense or a feeling, and I listen to who they are and whether or not their wall is up. I get a lot of actors that are walls up. And once I'm able to go ahead and either send them to someone or pull their wall down, that's how I can find who their actual voice is. It's about them being confident. And I'm looking for the confidence. That's how I help them find their voice. I've got to get them to be confident. I got to get them to be able to play. As silly and as fun as I am, I need them to be just somewhat like me, not as insane as I am, per se.
Yeah, that's going a bit far.
But that's what I do, because I bounce around. If you've seen me in person, I'm bouncing around, I'm moving.
Yeah, you're like Tigger.
You sound like my little brother saying that to me. But it's once I get them in a comfortable level, and once they feel comfortable with themselves, then I pull out. I can hear their voice. Then I say, that's it. That's you. Now read the copy. I just automatically go ahead and get them in a state of read the copy, and read the copy now before you lose it.
Right. Now, you've been working with a lot of kids lately. I mean, like, as you were just saying, little girl, little guy, people under 10. Is it how do you direct them? Is it a little bit different than dealing with adults? Because, you can't really throw the emotion in there the same way.
It's about it depends on who the little kid is. So I have to understand them, and then I have to understand the parent. And so
that's an important part. Is the
that's
parent
a
is
very
always
important part.
Yeah.
And the parent is there. So I have to allow the parent to be the parent, but at the same token, I'm here for the child. So I have to understand the kid's personality. Tell me about what you like, as far as your subjects in school. What do you like to do for fun? What do you do in your off time? I need to know everything about the kid. Once I get to understand their acting, understand who they are, and then I can go ahead and push the parent aside, then I'm able to go ahead and dig down in, and pull performances out of the kid. Because kids just want to go. They just want to do it. They're not thinking about it. So for me, I sometimes have to throw in a laugh or a joke here and there, get the kid to calm down, and then, make it fun.
All righty. Yeah. We're talking with Everett Oliver. Once again, if you've got a question, throw it in the chat room. I'm looking forward to lots of questions in the next segment. So so get those in.
We're
there.
looking at them in YouTube and Facebook, by the way. So whatever thing you're on, you can type it.
Just, if you can type.
And Jeff will grab it.
That's right. And so anyway, we're going to take a quick break right now. We'll get back to some of those questions. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Everett Oliver here on VoiceOver Body Shop. Don't go away. And we're back. At least I can look into the camera and, oh yeah, we're back.
I trust that we are back.
I'm assuming that we are.
Yes.
Anyway, Everett Oliver is our guest, our good friend who is an audition director, and we have a pile of questions, which is
that we do.
Fabulous. Look, if you're voice actors, you can't be shy. Ask your question. What do we got?
We'll start out with an easy one that came in email from Sarah Switek. And her question is, thank you so much for hosting the show with Everett Oliver tonight. She says to Dan and I, my question is, again, how long should a voiceover resume be? I'll ask first, is there such thing as a voiceover resume?
I have one.
Your demo. Your demo's your resume. Some people have a list of credits that they've worked on, list of coaches. Mm-hmm. It should probably be a page. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go ahead and write the shows that you've booked, the coaches that you've worked on.
What context would you use I just never hear that word resume thrown around talking about. But what's a context where a resume would be useful?
Like for video games. For video games, if for anime, mm-hmm. Not so much animation. They really don't care. But I would say for anime and for video games, for sure. Mm-hmm. Especially if they have new directors, especially young directors that people who have been, who are new to that field, and people who've been doing it for a very long time. And your demo is your calling card.
Yeah, that's an important part. Now, here's the thing that I'd always wondered about, because we all have demos. Some of us have more demos than others, but generally people get booked off of their auditions, don't they? I mean, how important is your demo really to the whole production process?
Well, Dan, things have changed now in 2022.
Okay.
Not everybody gets booked off of their auditions anymore. They get booked off of their demos.
Oh.
So yes, it's very important that you have your demos current. I would say probably within maybe 2 years, you probably want to go ahead and get a new demo. I think it's kind of insane to have a demo per category, for each genre, but you definitely, animation and video games, you should use those as 2 separate demos. Maybe have a narration demo, commercial, and a promo. Maybe a medical narration demo for sure. You'll need one for that. E-learning. I don't necessarily know you need an e-learning corporate narration, but people are going to, if you're doing 2 separate things, sure, you need a demo for that.
Maybe if you had more of a body of work in those different different genres, then you might want to do a cut reel of them, right? Because it's so unique to that thing, or no?
They used to do that years ago, probably, 2015, 16, and 17, they would have that. But now, it's a short time span.
Yeah.
So when people are listening to stuff, they want stuff really quick, short, to the point. And the thing that drives me insane is you need to have your telephone number on your website and not just have your email. Yeah. Yes. And not be looking for it. So.
That's one of the fascinating things about people, having a voiceover website. It's like, it's got to be animated and it's got to do that. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. That
business
Your
card.
name, your demos, and how to find you.
And your logo, your branding, that should all be able to just stand out.
Right. All righty. Question from Patricia Andrea. She says, I have one thing for the guys. So I've been in the booth, been practicing, got a bit of voice coaching, still looking for a voiceover coach, but I'm stuck in the types of samples to make as new. And do I start on Fiverr?
How long has she been coaching? See, when I do career consultations, this is what it's stuff that I need to know. I need to know how long you've been coaching. I need to know if what kind of acting classes have you taken, what kind of improv classes have you taken, where are you located. I need to know basic foundation work for me to go ahead and answer her question.
Right. Well, perhaps she should contact you. And how would she do that? We'll give you the chance again later, but how would they do that?
Oh, my initial EO at voiceactingdirector.com.
All right. Once again, we're talking with Everett Oliver. We're talking about auditioning for voiceover work. And you specialize in animation and in gaming, right?
More animation, I would say. I specialize in commercials. So I've, audition-wise, I cover all genres because it's all acting to me, So it's just a matter of me hearing how well you connect to that piece of copy that you're reading and bringing yourself to it. But really, my main focus is animation is top priority, and video commercial is my second.
All right. And if we're talking about improv, we got Scott Parkin coming on in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
His rib is healed, so he's actually going to come back.
He's
on.
ready. He's ready.
Right. And if it's still sore, he's still going to bring alcohol, which is the most important thing, which apparently he thinks is great for improv. Anyway, next question from Terry Briscoe.
Terry asks, Everett, when you give that second take, give us some things to focus on to make it pop. For instance, pacing, raising or lowering your voice, different accents, etc. So you got the first take down. You're happy with it. Where do you go from there?
Depends on what the copy is. You want to go on a deeper level. Yes, it has to do with pacing. It depends. If you didn't have a point of view in your first take, you need to bring that to your second take. Accents, only do an accent that you feel comfortable with, that an accent's from a region of where you come from or heritage. If you're putting on a phony accent, I would not do it because they're going to know right away. Second take, you don't want to emulate the first take as far as your acting style. So, I say go for it, stepping outside of your comfort zone. If you think it's going to be over the top, a lot of people who think that going over the top is going to make them really over the top, but it's not, which means to me is that they've never able to, they don't know how to get out of the comfort zone. They don't know what being like over the top is. So they're scared, they're afraid to even go there. And so what I do is I push them. So you need to push yourself to go over the top. And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be over the top because your personality doesn't fit that, depending on who you are. And sometimes, for animation, you have to do stuff that's over the top. That's what's going to make you stand out.
Yeah, and that's in anime. I've learned animation is always over the top. It's like, it's not normal human
reserved.
Conversation. It's always
right.
But video game is the opposite, right? Video game is more about realism.
It's real. It's more about realism and cinematic, right? It's really pulling those layers and really connecting and bringing your depending on some casting directors like to hear your heritage, bring some of your background foundation to the read from where you come from, where your family comes from. Yeah. So yeah.
Here's one from Grace Newton. She asks, as a booth director, when you were a booth director, what is the most challenging thing that you face in a day?
Auditioning one person with 6 pieces of copy and trying to get it done in 15 and 20 minutes.
Trying to get too much done in too little time.
That used to, right. And it was a constant, being at the agency was great. It gave me the foundation, and even to this day, of me moving people in a fast, quick pace. But that was the challenging part. Is the deadlines. We had to get the deadlines out, and you guys have to be ready and be prepared. And rather than that just coming in like it's you didn't study like you would do in high school and college. I'm thinking of one of my students right now. They're trying to do it off the cuff.
Right. And they know
it works for some people. It works for some people. Some people could.
Sounds like something I would do. Right, sounds like me.
Yeah, that's why they mention your name.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting question, and George and I are going to look at this and go, "What?" From Dan Alpern, he says, "Do you want to know if I audition from the road or a hotel room, but have a better sounding home studio? Should you tell them?" Well, I mean,
that's actually an interesting question.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, but I always find that people are like, I got to audition from the road. Unless, of course, they're in the road company of hair or something.
So he's worried that his audition he does from the road isn't representative of his home studio.
Right.
So I guess I'm saying, why bother?
Right.
Should you bother?
Right. I wouldn't mention. Well, I think you should. I mean, you're submitting something. I don't think in this day and age, unless your sound quality is that bad, that you shouldn't. But I think you should. You make those preparations when you're going on a trip. You should bring all that stuff with you. I bring my stuff with me when I'm traveling. So why not? But I wouldn't let the client know that I'm auditioning, from the road at home. I wouldn't say that. You make sure your sound quality is just as good at home as it is on the road.
So you need to pull it off. What you're saying is you need to pull off a really good
make it work.
Road
make
kit.
it work. Mm-hmm. Make it work.
All right.
Do what you have to do. You're a professional, so do what you have to do.
And that requires knowledge of how to record on the road. And you don't just you can't wing it. You have to know what it sounds like.
It's advanced.
Absolutely. Well, it wouldn't be Voiceover Body Shop unless J. Horace Black had a question for us. So,
Jay,
you go for it.
He said, I just want to say thanks again for facilitating the connection with LA representation. Apparently that happened. Can't tell you how pleased I am. Appreciate you, bro. He's been getting a lot of auditions lately that only ask for one take. What's your suggested approach for these kinds of things? And are they
Go
just doing
for
that
it.
because they're just
Yeah,
too
they probably don't have the
impatient?
time. They probably don't want to listen to everything. If you're going to do one take, go for it. Don't hold back. Bring every nook and cranny. And Jay, stop worrying and stop thinking, because you tend to worry and think.
And he asks a lot of questions.
He does.
Stop asking. Just do it. Just whatever it is. Because
Yeah.
Jay, there's too many people auditioning for the same thing. You have to. My thing is this: you have to go to a conference. Once you go to a conference and you see how many people is at a conference, that's going to tell you what your competition is. Okay, so I don't know what else to say. You just need to just do it and go for it. You know, you guys have to also, I had notes here too. You guys have to network. You have to put yourself out there. Some of you guys think that you're going to actually book from just doing an audition. Not in 2022, not in 2023, and not in 2024. People, there's so many of you. You have to put yourself out there through marketing, through, you know, having a relationship with your coach, through going to conferences. This is how you get seen, and this is how you get noticed. Being at home, sticking at home, and being in your booth is not going to get you noticed. I've said my piece. Tough love's coming.
All right. Well, if we don't hear it from you, what's it?
Jay, I mean, Jay's awesome. And we all
Yeah.
take.
Oh, he is.
He asks really good questions, but it does show you that he's a thinker.
He's serious. He's serious about it, but he thinks. Yes. And he should not think. He should just let it go and just do whatever comes natural, and trust yourself and trust your instincts. Right. You know, if you're playing it too safe and you know you've been playing it safe and it's not working out, then the other way of doing it is, okay, let me just go for it. You know, meaning go big.
Right.
You
Easier
know?
said than done for a lot of people. I mean, of course, if you really can't ad lib or you really can't be relaxed, voiceover perhaps is not the profession for you. I mean, you've got to be able to, you know, look outside the box and those sorts of things. How do you help someone relax and do that kind of thing? It's not easy. I mean, it's still hard for me, you know, except that I
make them.
You know, I've been doing it for years, and it's like
Make them.
Yeah, you make them.
No, I do off the wall stuff. I get in their heads. I make them laugh. I do stuff to just relax them. Once I get them relaxed, then I go ahead and I approach to get into copy. You just have to I tell people actually to, go jump on a trampoline. I tell people to go exercise, running, go biking, go skateboarding. I tell people to go do something fun and then go do your audition. So that way you're in a really playful mind. So tons of people are doing that. Go have a conversation with whoever just to distract you. Go do gardening, go swimming, go walk your dog. Do something fun before you go ahead and you're going to go tackle those auditions. That's going to help you get into a mood, because you're in a playful mood. You're not thinking about it. And again, it should only take you 30 minutes. If it's taking you longer, you're wasting your time, as one of my agents would tell me. Wasting their time. They're not going to book it. They're overthinking it.
When somebody gets a script and they're ready, what is the prep process that you would like them to do when they first see it? There's the specs, there's the copy, and the specs sometimes can be much longer than the copy, which we tend to see an awful lot. What process would you like to see them do?
Read the script 3 times. Read the script enough 3 times so they're understanding what is required from them. Then after they read the script 3 times, they should go ahead and they should start marking the scripts. They should put in there where their emotional turns are going to be. They should where they're going to probably improv, where certain buttons that they're going to go ahead and get. Then go ahead and read the copy at least once on mic, just to kind of see where their true point of view is going to come through. Just read it. Read and act for the first take, then read and act again for the second take where they're not thinking about it. Walk away for another 15, 20 minutes just to go ahead and clear their head, and then go back and read for the third take. They should have 3 different takes. They should be done in a half hour. And then when they're done, stop thinking about it. Check the labeling because that's important, and leave it alone. Don't think about it. Don't call me. Don't think afterthoughts.
Don't call me.
Don't email me and say, "Oh, I need you to re-listen to this before I send it out." If you want me to listen to it, it's gonna cost. Exactly. Oh no, because my actors are bold enough. They will send me text messages. It's like, "Hey, I need you to see this." I'm like, "Okay, it's gonna cost you." It's gonna cost you. I'm listening.
Yeah, people need to let it go every now and again. You have to send it out. I mean, I've done so many auditions in my lifetime. It's like, go, just shove it down the pipe and like, I got to go walk the dog, or I got to go feed the dog or something.
But you have to remember too, it's more than just these auditions. This is what I was saying earlier. It's about you really have to network and put yourself out there and meet people. This is how you're going to find work. You could keep auditioning till you're blue in the face, but if nobody knows who you are, that's going to be a problem. Right. This is when you're doing it for years and years and you're wondering why. Maybe you're coaching with people who are not connected with you, who don't understand you. That could be an issue. Maybe, you're getting bad advice from people. Maybe you're not going to these conferences. Maybe you're an introvert and you're trying to, there's tons of people who are introverts in our industry. And it's like you have this emotional wall up. And it's like, well, how do I get my emotional wall down? It's like, I'm not a therapist per se, even though my colleague, Uncle Roy, always says we're all a therapist if we're coaches.
Yeah, even a tech guy.
Yeah, tech guys.
Even tech people are therapists, exactly. But it's like I send people to somebody to really work with them to getting their wall down. But it's a thing of, you've got to be comfortable in your own skin to do this work. You really need to know who you are. And once you understand the dynamics of who you are and how you tick, you're going to put that towards the copy, whether it's a character or whether it's commercial copy. And once you understand that dynamics, that's what's going to help you book. But if you're sitting here, if you can't make a decision in the grocery store, whether or not you're going to have tuna for dinner or this for dinner, then, and that's a problem going on in your everyday life, then that's going to be a problem in your voiceover career.
We got one last question here. Yeah, we got one last question here from Max Goldberg from YouTube. He says, when receiving an audition script with no specs whatsoever, what ways or steps are there to determine how one should self-direct and then proceed with recording?
I would just I've never heard of anybody not having specs. That's never happened to me in my years. But
I've seen it.
I've never seen that. But I would say if that happened, I would say just bring yourself to it. Whatever the copy is, look at the copy and bring your true, authentic truth to it and yourself to it.
Yeah.
All righty.
It's probably not a time to throw something crazy against the wall and see what sticks.
Right.
That's
true too. What you're playing, true. And use that as the second take.
Oh, there you go. That's your second take.
That's right.
That's your second take. Good job, George. You've learned. You listened.
I've only heard you say that about 400 times.
So is Patrick Kushner.
This man says names. This man says names on this show.
Oh, I'll call you out. I'll call you out. You know I'll call you out.
Alrighty. Well, Everett, as always, aside from just hanging out with you, it's a pleasure having you on the show and offering your expertise on how to audition better. Again, if people want to work with you, where can they get a hold of you?
EO@voiceactingdirector.com. And voiceactingdirector.com is my website. I won't give up my telephone number because some of them already have my cell phone number.
It sounds like a lot of people already have it.
Oh, there's a lot of people.
I have it, and when I see it come up, it's Everett.
That's why I'm the only one in America that has a landline too.
Well, Everett, thanks for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. And
thanks so much, guys.
Good luck in the future on all that.
All right. Man. Great to see you.
I will see you soon. All right.
Alrighty.
Take care.
All right. George and I will be right back to wrap things up and re-rack it for Tech Talk right after this, so don't go away.
You're still watching VOBS?
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
It's that time on the show where we thank Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect, the most predominantly widely used remote recording tool in the voiceover business. Completely has taken over for ISDN. If you don't know what ISDN is, don't worry about it. But
it's gone.
It is gone. But ISDN was how studios tended to connect to their best and most well-loved and highest paid clients because it was easy for them to get great audio. Now with Source Connect, it's even easier for producers to get great audio straight into Pro Tools, which is what they're going to be using most of the time probably at the studio. The workflow is efficient, and that is why they love it. So you want to have this tool in your toolbox. You want to be proficient. You might even consider paying them, I think it's $75 for the certification, which isn't just like paying for a little badge. They actually teach you stuff. They will actually go through your system. They'll make sure your system is set up properly. They will, if there's some issues with the sound, they actually will give you some advice to make it better. It's a very worthwhile expense to make sure that your quality is where it should be for Source Connect. So just another way they provide great service. So you can go over to source-elements.com, get yourself a demo, poke around, watch the videos, spend some time, and then when you're ready, subscribe or pay for your license outright and own it for life. You can do that right over at source-elements.com. We'll be right back.
In these modern times, every business needs a website. When you need a website for your voice acting business, there's only one place to go. Like the name says, voiceactorwebsites.com. Their experience in this niche webmaster market gives them the ability to quickly and easily get you from concept to live online in a much shorter time. When you contact voiceactorwebsites.com, their team of experts and designers really get to know you and what your needs are. They work with you to highlight what you do. Then they create an easily navigable website for your potential clients to get the big picture of who you are and how your voice is the one for them. Plus, VoiceActorWebsites.com has other great resources like their practice script library and other resources to help your voiceover career flourish. Don't try it yourself. Go with the pros. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer, and you are watching VoiceOver Body Shop. It's great.
All righty. Well, like I said, Scott Parkin's going to be here in a couple of weeks, which we missed him last time he was here, but
yeah, I know.
Which will be a lot of fun. Not next week, the week after that.
Okay.
And then we have a 2-week, our cycle. We'll have Scott Parkin, and then we'll do Tech Talk again. And then I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks. But I think we're only going to miss like 1 week.
Okay.
Maybe 2.
We're doing our best to not miss it between all the travels, the holidays, everything else.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of weird trying to fit it all together. But anyway, next week on this very show, there will be Tech Talk number 88.
88. It is. It's going to be 88.
88. But we're going to record that in just a minute. So stay tuned. If you got tech questions, we want to hear your tech questions.
Yeah.
But we do have people that help us do this show, and that is the donors of the week.
Yes, sir.
And they are Robert Leadham,
Stephen Chandler,
Casey Clack,
Jonathan Grant,
Tom Pinto,
Greg Thomas,
a Dr. Voice,
Antland Productions,
Martha Kahn,
949 Designs.
All right, Jonathan Grant.
Christopher Epperson.
Jonathan Grant's in there twice.
Lucky son of a. Did he make a double donation?
I may have done that.
No, he's just a smart dude. That's why he's in there twice.
All right. Chris Epperson.
Sarah Borges.
Philip Sapir.
Brian Page.
Patty Gibbons.
Rob Ryder.
Shauna Pentington Baird.
Don Griffith.
Trey Mosley.
Dana Birdsall.
Sandra Manwiller.
I love saying all those names. We say them all the time because they're subscribers. They didn't just make a one-time payment. They're subscribing, and you can do that for as little as $1.
That's right.
$1 a month.
Right.
You know, it's all it takes to get your name read every show.
Right, but it's because they're supporting our show.
Yeah,
because they believe in the great stuff that we do here at VoiceOver Body Shop.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Or they just want to hear their name read at the end of the show.
That's probably
I think that's probably what it is. Yeah.
All right, we need to thank our sponsors, Harlan Hogan's VoiceOver Essentials,
VoiceOver Extra,
Source Elements,
VOHeroes.com,
VoiceActorWebsites.com,
JMC Demos,
and WorldVoices.org, the Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent. It just sort of flows off my mind when I say that, because
it should at this point.
By now it should.
It's your job.
Yeah, it's my other job. Anyway, our thanks to Jeff Holman for getting all those questions to us in the chat room tonight. We really appreciate it. He's like, his career is just taken off.
So glad to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, he was in that he's
doing a ton of on-camera stuff.
I know. It's great stuff. We got to get him in here so we can hear what he's doing. Sue Merlino. In the studio tonight.
In the flesh.
Actually here tonight. It's about time we're all together. I guess we're going to have to do some drinking after this or something. Anyway, thanks, Sue, for a great job tonight. And, of course, Lee Penny for just being Lee Penny. Anyway, well, that's going to do it for this. Tech Talk is coming up next live, so if you want to ask your questions, now would be a good time to throw it in the chat room because we're going to do all that stuff, and we got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. But in the meantime, this is not an easy business. There's so many things you got to be able to do right. But when it comes down to it, how you audition and your technology and all that stuff, it really comes down to if it sounds good.
It is good.
I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VOBS. See you next week.